National unity, social cohesion, human rights and equality remain part of South Africa's efforts to ensuring the advancement of the country's constitution. That is paramount given South Africa's dark history brought on by apartheid. To help us to reflect then on how far we've come with the reconciliation project, we're joined tonight by author and anti-apartheid activist Dr Mosibudi Mangena. Mr. Mangena, very good evening to you. Welcome to News at Prime. So, does it still ring true, I wonder, that apartheid in South Africa ended only on paper?
Yes, absolutely. It has ended on paper, but of course in a formal sense. We are a democracy where everybody is free to vote and to be voted into parliament or legislatures at different levels. But otherwise, the divisions of the past remain.
Why have those divisions continued to live so many years into democratic South Africa? It'll be 30 years in about 3 years from now, yet we're still dealing with much of the same problems.
Well, I think the problem is with us black people. We suffer from colonial mentality because 27 years ago, we took state power. We control parliament. Which means we control the purse, that is the budget of the country. We control all levers of state power. But in this period, we haven't done enough to empower our own people. We have not given black people enough land, meaningful land, so that they can live as equals with others. We have not empowered black people in as far as proper, good education is concerned. We have not empowered them in as far as the integration of black people into the economy of the country is concerned. And so the divisions that we have now between black and white is mainly on economic lines, the haves and the have-nots, and that divide is along racial lines and along historical lines. And so the democracy that we have and the equality that we talk about is very thin, and beneath the surface there is lots of trouble that might come if we are not careful.
I'd like to pick up on a few things that you mentioned, first of which to do with land. Just 2 weeks shy from today, we had a debate in Parliament, a vote in fact, on the amendment of the Constitution for land to be expropriated without compensation. The ANC said yes. Most of the opposition parties said no for various reasons, ranging from the DA, which said it would be unconstitutional, basically dispossessing people of their land. The EFF, on the other extreme end, argued that it would not support that motion because it simply did not go far enough in fast-tracking the process of making sure that the landless black majority in this country has access to land. What is your take?
We are, as black people, we are 90% of the population, and we are the people who are denied land. And in my view, land is one of those issues that we should not quibble about. We can have different discussions and disagreements as black people about a variety of things, but not in as far as the possession of land is concerned. It is really disgraceful that we will have the majority of people in parliament arguing with one another and in the end doing nothing whatsoever to advance the process of giving black people land. It is really disgraceful, and we shouldn't be quibbling about that at all. So dividing and subdividing that this is the IFP, this is the ANC, this is the PAC and so on, does not cut it in as far as most of us are concerned. We should be agreed in as far as settling the land problem is concerned.
There's also been criticism that the ANC wasted an opportunity when it had the numbers in Parliament years ago to be able to push ahead with this legislation. But also on the other end, there's the argument that the existing legislation as far as land redistribution has not been used to its full potential. Where do you position the blame?
True on both accounts. There was a time when the ANC had a two-thirds majority in Parliament. But also, many jurists will tell you, including former constitutional judges, that nobody had ever come to them to test whether or not a robust land redistribution program can be undertaken under the present constitution. And many of them believe that it can. But whether or not Section 25 is a problem or not is neither here nor there. We are the majority. So if it is a problem, we should resolve it such that we are able to embark on a meaningful land reform that will bring justice to the majority of our people and ensure that we have got peace and prosperity in this country.
Let's move on to the point you raised earlier about the economic disparities in this country, the inequality that we're seeing as far as income. I mean, the unemployment stats are rising every quarter. Majority of those people will be young black people who were born, some of them after apartheid, but are still suffering as a result of some of the structural and systemic issues that existed even before their birth. Why have we not removed those barriers?
As I said earlier, we suffer from inferiority complexes. We suffer from self-hate. We do not think that we should work hard for our own people. So if you can go into the area of land reform, we can go into the area of education, we can go into the area of health, and et cetera, where we are supposed to serve our own people. We don't do it. And hence we are here 27 years later. In fact, we are more unequal than we ever were under the watch of a democratic government. Mm-hmm. And that is a problem.
Do you think then the democratic government, we talk about reconciling black and white in this country, do you think the democratic government of today is aware that with this path that we're on currently, there may even need to be a conversation in a few years about reconciling rich and poor, because some are saying something is going to give, and when it does, there may be a point of no return.
Yes, you see, you never know what will happen if something gives. You don't know whether you will end up being a Somalia, because once there is civil strife, once there's conflict, you don't know where it will end up. So it is important that now, with the political power that we have got, that we ensure that the reconciliation is rooted in justice, and it's rooted in land reform, it's rooted in giving black people a meaningful stake proportionate to their numbers in the stake of, in as far as the economy is concerned.
Can true reconciliation, not can, but should it be a government-led process?
Mainly because government has controlled so much resources. It controls the law and so on. But a lot of it must also happen amongst people themselves. But they cannot do it on their own if the government is folding its arms or acting in the reverse, in manners that negate the way towards reconciliation. The problem that we have now that requires reconciliation was not caused by individual people. It was caused by the state. Mm-hmm. The racist state of the past engineered what we are having presently. So the state must now engineer reconciliation and the march towards justice.
You were in Parliament when the initial promises for change were being made, and you've been able to observe South Africa's journey to democracy and democracy itself in the last 27 years. Do you think all that you've just said is necessary can be achieved with the ANC state of today, the current crop of leaders?
Well, unless they change. And if they do not change, then the current situation will not change. It will probably need another political arrangement to change the situation. They have been in power for 27 years, and all that we have seen is this inferiority complexes that I'm talking about, self-hate, that in their heart of hearts do not believe that black people deserve the kind of things that we are talking about, that we don't deserve to be in Mikuku, that we don't deserve the bucket system, that we don't deserve overcrowding in our classrooms, that we don't deserve medical care that is below par, and so on and so on. So unless they believe in their heart of hearts that we have got to have equality and justice, then it will not happen.
What, final question, is the role of the young people of South Africa in a country that hopes to march out of poverty, unemployment, land dispossession?
They must take matters into their own hands. Some of us, or my generation, have fought for freedom. We brought the country from settler colonialism to the neo-colonial arrangement that we have now. It is now up to them to take things forward. After all, the future belongs to them. And so they mustn't sit back. Even look at us messing up, including us or my generation involved in looting, in corruption, in stealing, and so on. These resources belong to future generations. And our young people must stand up and say no when we are messing up.
Dr. Mosibudi Mangena, good to speak to you, anti-apartheid activist and former member of parliament. Grateful for your time, sir, tonight. Enjoy the rest of your public holiday.
Thank you very much.